Okay, so let's talk about anxiety. We're often told it's, an internal flaw. Like maybe you're just too sensitive or it's just your brain chemistry being a bit off. We learn to see it as a personal failing. But what if that's not the whole picture? What if we're looking in completely the wrong place? Today, we're doing a deep dive into some sources arguing something quite different. That anxiety isn't just an individual issue, but maybe a rational response, a built in thing reacting to the systems around us.
Exactly. That's really the core idea we need to unpack for you. This thesis that your anxiety, it isn't just in your head, it's in the system itself. The way things are set up, capitalism, this intense competition, consumer culture, these sources argue the system actually thrives by keeping you feeling restless, uncertain. Anxiety isn't some kind of bug in the code. It's the system working exactly as intended.
Right. So let's start with the usual advice. If you're feeling overwhelmed, what do they tell you? Go inward, meditate more, keep a journal, maybe get a prescription. They're all very individual solutions, right, for what often feels like this huge societal pressure.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the key insight from the sources we looked at is that this narrative, it's actually very useful for the system. The hidden message is always something like, fix yourself so you can keep coping, keep functioning inside this reality that's frankly destabilizing. We keep returning to that analogy, like putting a tiny bandage on a wound that's just getting reopened every single day. The main goal seems to be convincing you something's wrong with you. Because if you start thinking society itself is broken, well, that shakes the foundations.
Okay, so if the system kind of needs us anxious, does that mean our insecurity is like a product? This idea of insecurity by design really stood out in the readings. Why would modern life, especially economically, rely on us feeling, well, inadequate all the time?
Absolutely. The profit isn't made despite our anxiety. It's often because of it. Think about it. If you believe you're lacking something, time, money, health, looks, whatever, you become the ideal consumer, don't you? We saw one analysis noting how the global self-care market, which is huge and largely built on managing stress and feelings of inadequacy, saw massive growth just last year. Your insecurity literally fuels someone else's revenue stream.
And that seems to feed straight into this hustle trap idea that kept coming up. Society praises burnout almost. Rest feels lazy, like a failure. You stop for a second and you feel like you're falling behind in this race you can't even see. There's no finish line. It's kind of brutal when you put it that way. Anxiety isn't just a side effect, it's the engine oil.
Yeah, the engine oil of the machine. And the system is incredibly good at taking that pain, that stress, and turning it back into profit. Your stress pushes you towards, say, expensive wellness trends. Your burnout leads you to binge watch streaming services just to numb out for a bit. It's an environment that almost sets us up for this constant feeling of internal failure.
But hang on, does focusing so much on the system kind of let individuals off the hook? What about, personal discipline or dealing with actual personal stuff? How do the sources handle that balance?
That's a really important point. And the sources do address it. They aren't arguing for just giving up or becoming passive. It's more about reframing the emotion itself. This moves us a bit from pure economics into philosophy, actually. One piece mentioned the idea, I think it might echo Nietzsche, that anxiety could be seen as the sanity of a sick society. It suggests, look at the real stressors out there. Unaffordable housing, job precarity, climate change, serious instability. Feeling anxious about that isn't a sign you're broken. It's maybe evidence you're processing the world correctly.
So in that view, anxiety isn't weakness. It's more like an awareness of how unstable things actually are. Okay, so what does that mean practically for you listening? The sources talk about this as a kind of rebellion.
Right. But it's not about, storming the barricades necessarily. It's often about small, personal acts of psychological defiance, like consciously refusing to measure your self-worth purely by your productivity, which the system constantly pushes you to do. It's sort of like adopting a bit of Camus thinking on absurdity, recognizing the system might be irrational, and choosing to live authentically anyway on your own terms.
Every time you push back on the system's definition of enough, you weaken its hold just a tiny bit.
So the anxiety is actually proof you're awake, you're paying attention, not proof that you're broken. And maybe the bravest thing is just refusing to blame yourself for a kind of sickness you didn't actually create.
Absolutely. That's the core takeaway, really.
So we'll leave you with this thought, building on the material. If the system's grip loosens every time you reject its definition of enough, what's one small act of defiance you could start with? Maybe choosing to rest without feeling guilty. Or pursuing something just for joy, not for profit. Something to think about.